Hey guys, time for Daily Share. Today is Monday, April 13th. Thank you for spending your time with me. I hope this blesses you in some way. I just want to share with you something God's been speaking to me about all day today. And it comes from some verses that I was reading last night, and they just really stuck out to me. And then I read some other things today that just went right along with what God was saying, that confirmed, what He was speaking to me. And I want to share with you First Peter chapter 1, verses 15 and 16 in the King James. And it says this: But as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, Be ye holy, for I am holy. And I read that, and I've read it a lot of times, and I always think, how scary, how intimidating is that word, holy? How could I ever say that I am holy? How could I ever say that I am trying to be holy? Because I associate holy with every sense of the word. I associate that with God. And, he was just speaking to me today. Jesus came here on this earth, He lived in the flesh, and He was called holy. And the reason He was is because He didn't sin. And He was constantly about the Father's business. And as we're taught so often in our church, is the best way not to sin is to do good. And Jesus is the perfect example of that, because He was always in connection with God. He was always asking Him, what's the next step? Do you want me to go here? Okay, you want me to go here. When? What do you want me to do here? Who do you want me to see? What do you want me to say? Okay, you don't want me to say anything. I'll be quiet. Oh, it's not time for that yet. I'll slip off. Or, oh, you know what? The time has come for this to happen. And even when the time for His crucifixion came, we read where He prayed in the garden, God, let this cup pass from me. I don't want to bear this in my flesh. I do not want to do this. But then He says, but nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. He always put the will of God first in His life. He was always confident in His purpose, and that was because He was in connection. He knew the Word, and He spent time in prayer, and He meditated on God, and He was in connection, asking and listening. He knew the voice. He knew what to listen for. And that's how we have to be. That's what He's calling us to. He wouldn't call us to that if He knew we couldn't obtain it. But when we get forgiveness and we get filled with His Spirit, that's the first step in moving towards being holy. And it may take us the whole time we have here on earth to obtain that. But it's okay, because He's patient. He has mercy and grace and forgiveness for us. So when we fall down, we just get back up, and we just get forgiveness for that sin if we mess up, and we just strive even more. And it says here, be ye holy in all manner of conversation. And the word conversation in this verse, it means in your behavior or your way of life. And I just thought that was so powerful, because He's calling us to be holy, to know His will, know what His Word says about it, to be in prayer about everything, that our way of life, our behavior would reflect who He is and His ways, and that we would be doing right and acting right and talking right and saying things right and not saying things when we don't need to. But that when we take on His name, we take on a holy name, and we have a responsibility to do right and to act right and make sure that we reflect that holy name in our lives. And as God was speaking this to me today, I read this from Micah Wood. Wrote this today, and he's associated with a ramp. And it says, I don't have the luxury of responding to situations the way that I want to. I have a responsibility to respond the way my Lord calls me to. And that just really went right along with what God was speaking to me today. We have a responsibility to find out, what are you saying about this, God? How do you want me to react to this, God? What do you want me to say to this person? Do you want me to say anything at all? what should I do in this situation? Should I stay here? Should I leave? Should I just wait on you? We have a responsibility to get in the Word, know what He says about things, and know what He's saying in our lives, know what our purpose is, know what He's calling us to, because the one who called us is holy. And he obtained that in this life. He didn't sin because he was always doing good. And that's something we have to strive to. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It may be my last breath before I obtain this. But it's something we have to strive to. When we take on that name, it's our responsibility to strive towards that. And I just thought that was so powerful, so awesome what God was speaking to me. But it's definitely challenging to me. It's definitely saying, you've got to work harder. You've got to do more because there is so much more to be had. There's so much more that I want for you. There's so much I want to tell you, but you got to know how to hear me. You got to know what I'm saying. I want so many wonderful things for your life. But you have to know what I want for you before you can get there. And I just thought that was so awesome. And I know that God wants that for us, or He wouldn't have called us to it. And I hope this encourages you and blesses you in some way. I know it has me. And just know that I am praying for you. And I hope that you're blessed. And I hope that you just remember this, and this just encourages you to walk, walk in God and to walk every day for Him, and just to remember the responsibilities that we have when we take on His name. So just know that I am praying for you, and until tomorrow, just be blessed.